Hi, I'm okay and is good. And today we're going to be going and doing a look through of the SPL usage stats document. First Pokemon I want to bring up, I think this is the best Pokemon in the meta without even looking at the list. Before I even took a look at the list, I thought this was the best Pokemon in the game right now. And taking a look at the list, I was able to see that my assumption was immediately pretty correct. We see Corviknight with a 68% win rate outside of mirrors. Nothing else this highly used even touches Corviknight's win rate. Nothing else is even above 60% win rate until you get to 22, which is Weavile. It truly is just the best Pokemon in the meta right now. It is just so defensively strong that replacing Corviknight on any balance team with anything else instantly tanks your team. Corviknight is incredible right now. Really does check just about everything you'd want it to very, very comfortably. Especially good because you want the steel typing to not let Gliscor run away with the game. It checks Gliscor, checks King Gambit, checks Senta, checks Tusk easily. Really does just beat a lot of the best Pokemon in the tier right now. Corviknight is on fire and is probably the best Pokemon, I would say. Corviknight's win rate is just impressive. The Iron Defense body press set can completely shut down any setup sweepers and any physical attackers in general. The U-turn set can be a tremendous addition to a bulky offense team where it's just like your catch-all physical wall and just U-turn into one of your sweepers on something like Gliscor, something that would be annoying to switch into by anything else. Corviknight is really just the best Pokemon on balance, on stall, on some bulky offense teams. It really pulls a lot of weight. I would not call it the best Pokemon on a lot of bulky offense teams because it does something differently on there. But it is just the best Pokemon for balance and stall. It is just absolutely insane right now. Corviknight drastically improves your team if you're running balance, especially. Balance is really, really in right now. But yes, Corviknight is the best Pokemon in the tier. I would see it upgraded to S plus rank. I believe it deserves its limelight in the sun. I believe it is the best Pokemon tier right now, and the stats in SPL really do back it up with a sample size of 58 having a near 70% win rate is just kind of insane. I want to bring up some Pokemon that I believe can be underrated right now. If we look at the win rates, these Pokemon really had huge win rates despite not seeing a lot of usage overall. Weavile in particular is a real standout. Recently moved up to OU. I think Weavile is really good right now. The first Pokemon to even touch Corviknight's win rate and is still lower than it. But that being said, I still believe that Weavile is really, really good right now. Particularly the Terra Ice Weavile set. It can just straight up, after Swords Dance and Corviknight takes Stealth Rocks, just straight up kills it. It is insane. Terra Ghost Weavile. It is the best knocker. I'm not really a big Boots guy, but Boots knockoff Sword Stance Triple Axle Weavile is the premier Boots attacker right now. I believe that Weavile stocks are going to go through the roof. Maybe this is just a Pokemon of the month, but Weavile right now is really, really good. More Pokemon I want to bring up: Scizor, Weezing, Primarina, all three of them right next to each other. All three of them with insane win percentages. We saw a lot of offense teams starting to use Scizor, a lot of Banded Scizors, some Defox Scizors. Really, I've been kind of surprised by how decent Scizor's been doing in tournaments. I don't generally consider it that good in game, but apparently the stats show that Scizor is really just that good. I've seen a lot of tour players like swear by Scizor. So we have to take a look at Scizor. Maybe he is just actually that good right now. But a Pokemon that you may know that I have played a substantial hand in raising the standing of this. Probably the main driver of this Pokemon's increased usage. Weezing, a featured Pokemon of my RMT, the Cure. It helped me get number one. Weezing is amazing right now. Single-handedly just destroy stall. Like, Weezing alone, they probably prep for it now, but it would just murder all stall easily. Balance cannot switch into Weezing Will-O-Wisp. Shuts down Garg. Also great versus HO. You come in on Samurott and just defog. Coming on Tinglu, just defog. It prevents hazard stacks from really functioning right because you can still defog on Goldingo thanks to neutralizing gas. Another Pokemon we gotta talk about is Primarina. I'm very surprised by Primarina's dominant 76% win rate. To be honest, you never really prep for Primarina. It's like the only fairy that does what it does. We can see that other fairy type in OU that's actually somewhat of a threat. And Enamorous has a way worse win rate with the same amount of usage. This is like on the borderline of 21 is a bit too small of a sample size to really make a huge deal out of. But Primarina really is quite impressive in that it's the only fairy type really that's a threat offensively with any sort of physical bulk or any sort of actual bulk and staying power. Primarina also comes with a tremendous stab combo, which Enamorous simply does not have whatsoever. It's a very interesting Pokemon. I'm gonna have to build some teams with it. I really don't see Primarina that often, especially on ladder. But in SPL, it went on a tear. Probably the highest win rate of anything actually being used. Ogerpon, the regular one, has 85%, but that's at a a sample size of 7. Yes, so that's pretty irrelevant. 21 is at least like a number. I'd say 10 is like the minimum to actually make, any sort of assumptions about. So SPL is where they say all the best players congregate, and this is how the meta is shaped. Apparently, SPL is supposed to define the meta game, show the best players playing the best. So these Pokemon that we see, these Pokemon be used by the best players doing their best. So these win rates should show us something. I mean, I'm generally not a pretty big SPL guy in my last video, but we're going to take a look at some of these SPLs, and we're going to take a look, and I'm going to say how it will affect the LU metagame. I think it actually will in a few cases. Yeah, Premier is really the only thing that can do what it does. A bulky AV or spec set with Hydro Pump, Flip Turn, maybe Psychic Noise with the Liquid Voice, or Torrent to just really get a powerful Hydro Pump at the end. Premier can run both abilities really decently. A Flip Turn, a Vest is really tough to deal with if you're running a bit of an offense team, because it does easily check Valiant, no problem. Really does 1v1 pretty much anything on HO easily. Also, is tough to switch into on balance, except for Glow King. But if you Flip Turn on Glow King, you get a lot of momentum. If you bring in something like King Gambit or a knockoff for like maybe Weavile or something, it can really get you a lot of momentum there. Weezing Galar, obviously, just going to use a standard set pretty much every time. Will-O-Wisp, Defog, Strange Steam, and Pain Split. You really don't see a lot of deviations from that. I do see a bit of Sludge Bomb, but I think it's just terrible. I think you're just good at using the basic 4 moves on Weezing Galar. I don't think you need to reinvent the wheel of this Pokemon. Scizor, a lot of bands. A lot of bands. Maybe I saw a Life Orb. I've seen a bit of Defog Boots, which I do think is a bit of a decent shout because it definitely does not let Goldingo come in, fearing a knockoff that just murders it, and then can get the Defog off while also putting up a substantial offensive presence. Alright, so now we talk about every Pokemon that did exceptionally well. And of the top Pokemon that did good as expected, we see Dragonite with a 54% win rate. I've seen people call Dragonite the best Pokemon in the metagame. With this win rate, I mean, you can't really argue with Dragonite in the huge sample size that it has. And everyone prepping for Dragonite still pulls off a 54%. Very impressive performance by Dragonite. Gliscor with an even more impressive 58% win rate. Really, a lot of people are saying to even ban Gliscor. I don't agree with them, but Gliscor did put in an impressive performance in SPL. I actually do want to point out, first we're going to go to Clefable, who did 58% win rate. I've hating on Clef a bit. I've stopped that Clef hatred for now. It might continue later, but I think Clef is actually pretty good right now, especially because Garganacl is going crazy right now. Clef is a tremendous Pokemon to have, even if it's just for Garg. Garg can be a game-changing Pokemon that instantly costs you the game if you don't have Clefable. Clefable is a huge bring, especially if you have it in your replays, just to stop Garg from just destroying. Garg is a game warper. You have to warp the game to beat Garganical. It is such a massive threat. Luckily, a lot of people play Garg pretty badly, so they still do that. And I do want to say, Garg did put in a pretty impressive performance with a 56% win rate. So, yeah, pretty good job by Garg. I do want to show the popular pairings. We see Gliscor Corviknight with a 74% win rate. That is absolutely insane. 31 times together. Nothing else even comes close. Look at this. They're supposed to be colors to color code if they're doing good or not. Nothing else even does anything except for these, which are a little bit red. This is dark green. This is just dark green. Nearly 75% chance to win if you bring these two. Gliscor, Corviknight, both really, really good Pokemon. Actually, kind of double up on the what they do. I guess this really is an SD Gliscor-esque build because Corviknight really does just absorb knockers, which is what a lot of teams use Gliscor for. Just better than Gliscor, and Gliscor is a better offensive Pokemon, obviously, because Corviknight's mostly defensive. But we also see Clefable and Gliscor put in a solid performance. And then we see one of the most absolutely monstrous and disgusting win rates in the entire document. 86% with Clefable and Corviknight. Truly, this is I have to build more teams with this. That I cannot believe this is at 86%. That means like 15 games. I think 2 guys lost. Don't call me on that. I'll do the math maybe later. I'm sick right now. Who gives a shit? I'm gonna cut that out. Okay, but 86%. It just mogs. These 3 Pokemon have mogged the entire list by being paired together. Dragonite paired with a few of these actually comes close at 70s, but this specific 2 just mog everybody so hard. It's just impressive. And then we get to the most popular pairings of 3. And wouldn't you know? Wouldn't you know? They pull up with an 84% chance to win. Really impressive performance done by these 3. These 3 apparently are the best 3 Pokemon on the team. I will give a Dragonite a shout out for if you replace Corviknight with Dragonite, your win rate only goes down by 1%, which is very impressive for Dragonite to even come close to Corviknight. Really, it does just show these 3 Pokemon are pretty crazy. Have to say, Dragonite, the more we're looking through the stats, the more I'm impressed with Dragonite. Really do think there's an argument for Dragonite being the best Pokemon OU right now. But I will have to give the number 1 spot to Corviknight. For offensive Pokemon, it's looking like Dragonite. Dragonite would not be a bad choice. But overall, it's definitely looking like Corviknight. Then we see other good Pokemon. Kingambit at 55% win rate. Very impressive performance by the King. Slowking Galar at a pretty kind of shocking 54%. I feel like Slowking Galar is not a game changer. I'm surprised it's not like near 50. And we see a lot of unimpressive performances. Yeah, I wouldn't take things too seriously if it's like 5% away from 50% either direction. Now, I do want to say some huge underperformers. The most notable one, people have called this the best Pokemon OU. I've been saying it was overrated for at least 6 months. But I got into an argument with Fusion, who won OST, very good player. But he said that Zenta was the best Pokemon OU. I vehemently disagree with that. Zenta is supremely overrated. And these stats from SPL really do just prove my point entirely. 43% win rate from Zenta is just not cutting it whatsoever. That is unimpressive at all. For the top 10, this is the worst win rate, actually. So if you were to bring Zenta, it is worse than all of the other top 10 with a statistically significant amount of games. If you're going to say that 118 games played of the best players playing against each other, air quotes, best players playing against each other, does not matter for a discussion of what's the best Pokemon OU, then what the hell do you think matters? It absolutely matters. Zenta does not pass the eye test. Zenta does not pass statistics. It is not the best Pokemon in OU. It is not even close to the best Pokemon in OU. If you are good to not give it to defensive Pokemon like Corviknight, like I'm suggesting, you can give it to Kingambit. You can give it to Dragonite. You can argue Gliscor. you can, well, I mean, at that point, you'd be arguing Gliscor's an offensive Pokemon, and I would take an umbrage with that, but I mean, maybe you could spin that. Goon is banned, so that's not gonna fly anymore. And yeah, those are the choices, really. I'll say a Golden Go did not put in too abysmal performance. Same with Wellspring. This like doesn't even count. Wellspring and Dragapult barely finished below par. I wouldn't even count those as mattering. But 7% is a huge difference than being like 2% below average. 7% below 50 is just inexcusably bad for supposedly the best Pokemon OU. It's the only S plus rank Pokemon right now, and it is just complete bullshit. Kingambit should be S plus rank. Dragonite maybe. Corviknight definitely. Those are the top 3 Pokemon OU. Zenta is just absolutely blanked in way too many games. That's gonna be what the problem is. Petrarunk completely owns Zenta and stops it from doing anything throughout the entire game. Gliscor also really does kind of own Zenta extremely well, and Gliscor has been doing a great job in tournaments. Garg murders a lot of the Zentas, really does just rely on Zenta being sub to beat Garg. Corviknight also can beat Zenta. I've done it myself quite a bunch. If it doesn't roar, then that goes away. But Corviknight walls boots Zenta reasonably okay. Setup Zenta does not actually beat Corviknight if it has the helmet on, as long as Zenta doesn't crit, to be fair. But because Corviknight can Iron Defense and then Body Press Zenta with it, and Corviknight will eventually win the 1v1 because Corviknight's Rocky Helmet would do the extra damage, unless Zenta can crit Corviknight. But yeah, Zenta is blanked in way too many matchups to be called the best Pokemon. I've never seen a matchup in my entire life where Kingambit has been useless, where Corviknight has been useless. That just never happens. They always do something every single game. They can be put on any team that fits their style and really do improve it. They are pretty thoughtless Pokemon just put on a team. They improve every team they're on. Dragonite depends on the set. A lot of the times, Dragonite can either win a game immediately or do nothing, to be fair. But when Dragonite hits, it really, really hits. And a lot of sets are really tough to actually thoroughly wall. Chudnite, which I've been running, it's pretty tough to like wall and blank and can just murder teams unprepared for it. That set is Covert Cloak, so you beat Gark with Encore, Dragon Dance, Roost, Terra Blast Fly, really dangerous set. You'll see the classic, what is it? 3 tax DD is very good versus offense teams, I will say. But with the rise of Corviknight, you really don't want to be running that anymore. Fire Punch, Dragon Dance, Terra Fire with lowered dice scales, also really good right now. Yeah, Dragonite is in a great position right now in the metagame. Zamazent, biggest underperformer by far. Worst win rate in the top 10. Truly an underwhelming performance by Zamazenta. I'm going to make a post that says Zenta should be removed from its position as a top Pokemon in the VR. It's simply not the top Pokemon. Not at all. Let's take a look at another underperformer. Valiant with the first Pokemon to have a worse win rate than Zenta. Valiant, I've always considered mid because it doesn't really do all that much because it's kind of weak. Its stats are not there. Its bulk isn't there. But it does have a lot of utility, I will say. With knockoff Encore, it can do a lot. I've been using that. It's just not that good, but it can do things. But I understand why it's in 42%. It's not the best Pokemon. That's fair. I do believe it's okay, though. Kyurem, who many people want banned, are clamoring for it with a 44% win rate. Unsurprising. Kyurem is vastly overrated, and I don't see how that's a controversial take. People talk like Kyurem's the best Pokemon and should be banned immediately and is just the GOAT by so much. Unsurprising, really, it's 44%. It just isn't that guy who everyone says he is. It's just very strange, I guess. Certain Kyurem sets can win immediately versus your team, but other times Kyurem can be blanked extremely easily. A lot of people are running the garbage sub Tech Kyurem, which does not help Kyurem's win rate, I'd assume. I assume if you remove that set from the mix, Kyurem's win rate goes up. but I can't go into that right now. So we'll look at its win rate, including the garbage sub protect set. And that's, to be fair, that's a huge set on ladder and tours everywhere, but it's complete garbage. So we understand that Kiram's win rate is a little bit kneecapped by that. Hatterene, unsurprising. It really does just try to C-team Ting Lu or DOS. Doesn't really do anything versus anything else. Rockscar pretty easily gets around it. I will say that with screens up, Psychic Noise. With screens up, Hatterene's a huge threat. Psychic Noise, Nuzzle, AV, Hatterene is actually pretty annoying to deal with. However, Hatterene is really let down by its psychic typing that makes it hit super effectively by literally every move in OU. It is not a great Pokemon, and I'm not surprised by its win rate. Samurott, hugely disappointed in my guy. I really do think Samurott's pretty good. I will say that much like Kiram, people misuse Samurott, and Samurott's the worst win rate we've seen to this point. But I will come to Samurott's defense a little bit here. I feel like a lot of people just like lead Samurott and click Ceaseless Edge and then die. Giving up Pokemon for Spike is a terrible idea in this current metagame because Spike doesn't do that much because of boots. So that's just a really terrible way to use this Pokemon. And that's why I think a majority of people use it. I really do like Boots Samurott, Scarf Samurott, even Assault Vest Samurott, all pretty good sets, and do a lot more over the course of a game as long as you don't sack it turn 1 to Ceaseless Edge and then die, which is what almost every Samurott player I see on ladder and tournament do with Samurott. It really is just a brutal misusing of a good Pokemon. That being said, I don't think Samurott's anywhere close to the best Pokemon in OU right now. It's just very good. Raging Bolt. I'm surprised this bad, to be honest. This is kind of shocking to me. I know Raging Bolt's not that good because Ting Lu is everywhere. Slowking Galar can deal with it. Gar can deal with it. They're going to be running those unbalanced teams. Hyper offense teams can pretty easily deal with Raging Bolt. Everything's faster than it. Everything can chip it. It's not going to kill anything in one hit, really, with Thunderclap. But 36% is so bad. It's kind of unbelievable how bad that is. Considering how strong Raging Bolt is, it's so bad. I guess it's because of the Ting Lu jerking. Ting Lu is the third most used, to be fair. And Ting Lu really does just utterly blank Raging Bolt. I will say that you can really overwhelm Ting Lu with Raging Bolt and Moth. And Moth did do better than Raging Bolt with 52%. But I think those are actually good teammates because they can both really hit Ting Lu hard for the other one to kill it late game. Particularly Moth to kill it late game. I mean, you should probably attack it first with the Raging Bolt because Moth is way better late game than Raging Bolt is at any point in the game. Moth is a lot better than Raging Bolt, the long and short of what I'm saying. So yeah, guys, let me know if you were surprised by anything. Any of you guys from r/Stunfisk, we see your GOAT, Lokix, here at a pathetic 36% win rate. Ironically, not even the worst in the image, considering Iron Crown is at 31, which, wow. Is that Pokemon even still OU? I actually don't know. I've used it in like one team ever. It is OU. So I think that's the worst performance by an OU Pokemon by far. Like that's tremendously terrible. To be fair, it only got a sample size of 19, but for an OU Pokemon, it's really inexcusably bad.